and maybe I should show you guys right now. Here's the Edge Finder, which is just officially released. We've got a video coming out later on it today, so stay tuned if you've been wondering about this, if you've seen this thing. If you've never seen this thing, whoo, man, this is the place to be.
Oh my.
How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Top Buy, Top Sell here in the A1 Edge Finder, where, as always, we're going to go over our number one buy and our number one sell currently listed in the Edge Finder. But before we get into that, we did a Wednesday episode, and in the Wednesday episode, we looked at COT and we looked at retail positioning. So if you want an update on COT data or retail sentiment, go check out Wednesday's video. You can get a full breakdown on that. So that means today we're going to look at AAII investor sentiment as well as the put call ratio, and I'll explain what both of those do. But really quickly before I get into that, I want to remind you that right now we are doing our biggest Edge Finder sale of the year. The Edge Finder right now is 40% off. Yes, you can get the Edge Finder for almost half off. 40% off the Edge Finder right now. Links down in the description below. You can also go to a1trading.com and find out more. But yeah, if you're interested in anything that you see in this video, now is the best time to get the Edge Finder. But let's go ahead and jump on in with AAII Investor Sentiment Survey. So this is a survey taken by the American Association of Individual Investors, and they take this survey every single week, and they ask investors if they are bullish, bearish, or neutral on the stock market over the next 6 months. So week by week, we can actually see how investors where they think the stock market is heading over the next 6 months from now. So if we take a look at this week, we can see April 1st to April 7th. Right now, 47.3% of investors are bullish, 30.5% are neutral, and only 22.2% are bearish. Now, we like to take a look at this yellow line here. This is really the most important thing because this is getting the difference between the bullish and the bearish biases. So you can see that 47.3 subtracted by 22.2 leaves you with 25.1. So overall, 25.1 is our bullish outlook for the stock market, and it dropped just a little bit from last week, but it is still ahead of where we were 2 weeks ago. So this is what's really cool about this chart here. You can kind of see how their sentiment is shifting week by week. So we could see gradually their interest in the stock market was rising all the way up till 30% here, which is really high. 51.7% of investors were bullish on the stock market compared to just 21.8 that were bearish. That gives you a difference of 29.9, but 30%, right? And after that, after it peaked here, it dipped a little bit, but it's back up again, right now sitting at 25.1. So overall, they are fairly bullish on stock market sentiment. Now, we can take a look at something similar in the put-call ratio. Puts and calls are basically bullish or bearish bets placed on the stock market. You can place puts or calls. Essentially, if you think that stock market sentiment is going to be negative today, then you want to place puts. And if you think that it's going to be bullish, then you want to place calls. And if there are more puts than there are calls, then we are looking at bearish sentiment here. But if there are more calls than there are puts, then we are looking at bullish sentiment. And this goes day by day. So what I like to look at here is for consecutive days in a row, either in bullish or bearish sentiment. So you can see here in early February, even though we were kind of bouncing around in the blue area here, there was a whole long string of collective days in a row that were in bullish sentiment. In fact, it went for a few weeks and then bumped up into bearish for a day or two, but then came back down into bullish. More recently, though, we were really bearish. It came down to about neutral before going back up into the bearish sentiment, touched into bullish sentiment a little bit, but now we're back into bearish sentiment. So overall, the day investors that are placing put and call ratios, I would say overall recently have been bearish in the stock market, which if you have been keeping up with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ very recently has been pretty bearish. So that was a quick update on stock sentiment, AAII investor sentiment survey and put call ratio. But let's head back on into top setups and take a look at our top buy and top sell for the day. So I'm going to remove these neutral biases. It looks like we have very bullish and very bearish biases today. In fact, we have one very bullish bias, USD CAD, score of +12. So we're definitely going to check that out. And then we have one very bearish bias as well, NZD USD, with a score of -9. So they're making it easy for us today. We have a clear top buy and a clear top sell, USD CAD and NZD USD. So let's go ahead and just jump right in to USD CAD first. We'll start there. So we're going to head on into FX majors, and I'm going to pull up USD CAD down here at the bottom. USD CAD, very bullish bias, score of +12. COT data is a score of +1, and retail sentiment is also a score of +1. Now, taking a look at COT data, right now, institutional traders are 50-50. They couldn't really get more 50-50 on dollar sentiment right now. 49.19% are long, 50.81% are short, so they are very undecided on where the dollar is going. However, they are pretty heavily short the Canadian dollar. Nearly 70% of institutional traders are shorting the Canadian dollar at the moment. Retail sentiment, retail traders overall are 64% short on USD CAD as a whole, and that is a bullish bias for us. Moving right along, our seasonality is actually a score of -1. We can see over here that historically speaking, over the last 10 years, averaged together, typically USD CAD does trade lower in the month of April. Our trend reading, however, is a score of +2, which means that this thing has been in an uptrend, a decent uptrend for a couple of days. We can actually kind of see that here with our score indicator. We can see that on March 29th, it got a +4 score, which isn't technically a bullish bias. A +5 score is, however, but it's very close. Those +4s are definitely something that you want to keep your eye out for, because while it may not fully, be in that nice uptrend yet, it's getting there. It's getting close. And so it had a +4 score for a couple of days, popped up into a +5, went back down to 4, and then 7, and now here we are at 12. So let's check out price forecast really quickly and see how this thing has actually been trending in the market. So here's USD CAD right here. So yeah, so we can see in the end of March, we had a nice uptrend and it gave back a lot of those gains kind of slowly. But then on April 1st, we had a big jump up. And then ever since then, it's kind of ranged, but price forecast does predict that this thing is going to continue to move upwards, slow and steady. Let's finish up with our fundamentals. We have a lot of fundamental data to go over. Inflation, manufacturing PMI, retail sales, employment change, and unemployment rate are all +2 scores. Interest rates, a -1 score, and GDP and services PMI are neutral scores. We have all that fundamental data right down here at the bottom for you. So starting off with the US dollar, GDP growth is 3.4% compared to 0.2% in Canada. MPMI 2.5 compared to -1.2. Retail numbers 0.4 compared to -1.4. Inflation in the US is 3.2% compared to 2.8%. Unemployment in the US is 3.8% compared to 6.1%. And interest rates in the US, 5.5% on the US dollar compared to 5% on the Canadian dollar. So fundamentally speaking, the Edge Finder says that this thing is very, very bullish, again, fundamentally speaking. And we actually just got brand new updated unemployment numbers for the US. The NFP event was today, and we got a new updated 3.8% unemployment rate. All right, so that was all the numbers and data backing up that very bullish plus 12 score on USD CAD. The other pair that we said we were going to take a look at today was NZD USD with a very bearish bias, -9 score. COT is a -1 score, and so is retail sentiment. Taking a look at these right over here. Technically speaking, neither of these are getting a score here because, like I always say in these videos, the magic number is 60%. We have to cross 60% for the Edge Finder to score it one way or the other because we want to make sure that it's clear and obvious that it is favored one way or the other. This obviously is much too close to 50% to call, and this, while it is leaning short bias, it's still just a little too close to that 50-50. Once it actually crosses 60%, then this would be an even higher COT score. But both recent changes have been negative, and that's why we're getting that -1 score there. Overall, retail traders, day traders, are 66% long on NZD USD, and that is a bearish indicator for us. Seasonality is a score of -1, and we can see that in the month of April, historically speaking, over the last 10 years, it does trade lower in the month of April. Our trend reading is a score of -1, and we can see that this thing has had a lot of negative Edge Finder scores over the past couple of weeks. Most recently, some -8 and -7 scores, but today we are clocking in with a -9. And let's go take a look at price forecast so we can get a better understanding of why. So I'm going to pull up NZD USD right here. And there we go. So what I see here is just a clear, slow and steady downtrend for a number of days. More recently, however, it has popped up a little bit in price. It has been trading lower for a really long time. So not too surprising to see a little bit of a reversal, but the Edge Finder is predicting that it is going to continue to move lower in the next couple of days. Finally, we can finish up with our fundamental numbers. We just went over all those US numbers with USD CAD, so I'll just focus on New Zealand numbers. But scoring-wise, inflation is a -2 score, so is GDP, retail sales, and unemployment rate. Interest rates are a +1 score, services PMI are a +2 score, and manufacturing PMI and employment change are both 0 or neutral scores. So going over those fundamental numbers for the New Zealand dollar, GDP growth in New Zealand, -0.1%. MPMI is 23.2. Retail numbers, -0.9. The inflation in New Zealand right now, 4.7%. Unemployment, 4%. And interest rates on the New Zealand dollar are 5.5%. So there we go. Those are all the numbers and data backing up that very bearish -9 score on NZD USD. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And remember, the Edge Finder right now is 40% off. It is the biggest discount of the year, so do not wait around. If you have been wanting the Edge Finder for a while, or if you're new to the Edge Finder and you think that this is a tool that would be helpful in your trading, do not wait because this sale won't last forever. 40% off the Edge Finder right now with promo code A1YT. You can find it in the description down below or on our website, a1trading.com.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.